Yeah, so I guess I'll kick it off. So this is our first ever WPNA
Catherine Walzer.
virtual
Okay,
meeting.
I'll put you in the drawing, Catherine.
So welcome everyone. I'm glad everyone was able to join and figure out this technology. A little bit of like housekeeping is if you're not presenting anything or if there's a presentation or someone's talking, if you wouldn't mind putting yourself on mute so there's no background noise, and we don't hear anything by accident so there's no disruption. And then also what I figure we can do is there's a button at the bottom for chat, and you can enter the group chat. And if you have any questions while someone's presenting something, you can put them in the group chat, and that way we can make sure to have those answered in order after the person is done presenting. And so we'll try to go through the agenda, and for that, I'll share my screen real quick. Host disabled participant screen sharing, CRUD. So Julie, can you enable me, you're on mute, can you enable me to share my screen or make me the host?
I can. How do I make you the host again?
Where it says my name, go to more.
Okay, I'm at share screen, and I go to.
So with the participant list.
Okay, so I got to go to a different thing. Okay, participants.
And then
Josh,
find my name, and then under more, make me the host.
Share screen. Oh.
Yeah. I enabled a lot of security features with the Zoom meeting, and so, to be determined if this is.
Well, I can't let people in if I'm not the host, right? While you're talking.
No. So that's like the challenge here. So I'll try to multitask as best I can.
Okay.
I'm the host now.
You're the host.
Gary Rockhold. All right, I'll admit that person.
Josh, could you ask everybody to put themselves on mute first, please?
Absolutely. So, by default, I set everyone to be muted when they are admitted into the meeting. Also, I've disabled participant sharing because I don't want any trolls coming in here and sharing obscene things. So let's see if it works out this time. I appreciate everyone's patience while we're still figuring out how to run a virtual meeting. And we'd appreciate your feedback after the session. So I'll go through quickly the agenda. Let me figure out how I share my screen. Let's do that. Okay, can everyone see it?
I can see it.
Awesome. So at a high level, that's our agenda topics, just the welcome, which is the housekeeping. Just a quick, touch point on, how the WPNA has been thinking about how to operate with COVID going on, and this virtual meeting is kind of one of those instances. I'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes actually talking about PIAC, because in 2019 we did submit several requests for PIAC funding, and several of those were approved. So we're going to talk through those and get some feedback from the group. We also have two representatives from PIAC here who can help answer some of the more technical questions that I wouldn't be able to do. There's also just a quick update on our events and our projects that we have going on. It can be a little bit more, a little bit less formal, I guess, at that part. Folks can ask questions about things like spring cleanup and what have you, and we can answer questions there. Then there will be a crime and safety update, which will be presented by Julia Thompson. We have a guest, Tracey Chappell, who is running for, I think, not the district attorney, but the district prosecutor for Jackson County. And so she'll be joining in around 7:40, 7:45. And then we'll do our quick shout out for membership renewals and have our drawing. So without further ado, we'll move right into the agenda. Regarding COVID, we're trying to adhere to as much of the health department guidelines and CDC guidelines as are made available. So for those reasons, we're not trying to all meet together in Emmanuel Lutheran. That's why we did this virtual meeting. And that's why, I have the note in here about our events and projects updates, because some of our events are very much about pulling a lot of people together, but we can't really do that in the traditional sense because of COVID and how contagious it is. So we're having to rethink a few things, and basically it means that a lot of our events are being postponed, and it's possible that they might not happen in 2020, just until we're able to feel more safe and secure about our ability to, keep people safe. All right, if there's no comments about that, I'll move straight into PIAC. All right, so see if I have it open somewhere. Okay. Hopefully this works well. So PIAC is a Public Improvements Advisory Committee. It's to solicit resident input to make recommendations regarding both the citywide and neighborhood portions of the capital budget. It consists of 13 people, 2 from each council district and a chairperson appointed by the mayor and city council. And this committee finishes its year by submitting its balanced 5-year capital improvements program and neighborhood recommendations in early February. So why is this relevant? It's because the WPNA has been pursuing PIAC funding for the last few years, and several of our projects have actually been approved in the past. But notably this year, we have asked for sidewalk repair. We have asked for new crosswalks. We have asked for pavers to be added to the park so that we can add bike stands. Things like that are things that we've requested and that I'll go over. But there's all sorts of eligible PIAC projects out there, which I have listed here. So whether it's stormwater drainage, flooding bridges, streets, roadways, whether we want to update any kind of community center, address any problems with traffic lights or street lighting, as we mentioned earlier, curbs and gutters. Anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't think we're seeing anything here. Is there a PowerPoint or something that you're using or not?
I am, but if you guys are not seeing anything, then let me readjust my screen share.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you there.
No worries. Okay.
All we're seeing is the agenda.
How's this?
That's perfect.
Much better.
Thanks so much. Okay. So yeah, anything from like parks to streets to, sidewalks, curbs, lighting, that kind of stuff. So these are public improvement projects. And the whole process I have listed out here. There's public hearings. This is where residents or neighborhood associations or HOAs, they go before the committee, the PIAC committee for their district, and they present, 1 or 2 of their proposed projects. You can request as many projects as you want, really. It's just about how much time you want to put into it. And when you go to present a project, usually the ones that you present have a higher likelihood of getting some sort of funding or getting some sort of more favorable response. But after the public hearing, then the PIAC committee does its cost estimates. So I know that there's been a lot of, spray painting or what have you on our sidewalks and curbs, and that I believe was part of the estimate process. And if there's more questions about that, we do have Uday Monapelli, who's with Public Works, who can answer any questions we have about that kind of process. Then it's reviewed by the PIAC committee. There's a whole budget adoption process, and then I think it was either April or May, I received the notices about whether or not the PIAC requests that I submitted on behalf of the West Plaza PIAC committee were approved or not. And then there's this whole funding portion that we're in now. And then there's a design and planning process and then construction. So all of this is to say that right now we're talking about PIAC requests that we submitted in 2019. And now we're at the part where we get to choose. And that's kind of the point of this PowerPoint. We get to choose which of the sidewalks or sidewalk paths that we want to address, because what we are awarded is not what the amount that we requested for sidewalks. And so I wanted to get some feedback on this call before that. The upcoming due date for PIAC 2020 requests is going to be August 31st. So you see that little red dot there. So there's still time for us to look at what we're able to address from this past year, and then think about other ideas or other improvements that we want to see in this neighborhood for the upcoming year. And what I did in the last year is I just had a small group of, dedicated volunteers, that went out and got the information and then just shared it with me. And I submitted all the requests, on behalf of the PIAC committee. It's really just about, people volunteering their time, things that they're passionate about. And as I'm the chair, I'm more than happy to help anyone out along with any kind of improvements that they want to pursue. What I need help with is just gathering the information and gathering the evidence, that we need. For example, that our sidewalks are in such disrepair. For example, we attached dozens and maybe even hundreds of photos where we were able to kind of really drive home the point about how bad of shape some of our sidewalks were, for example. So our themes were safety, parks, and sidewalks and curbs. And on the 43rd Avenue crosswalk, that's right in front of Emmanuel Lutheran, I've worked for 2 or 3 years now with Emmanuel Lutheran and Volker Neighborhood Association on getting that crosswalk addressed, but that has been rejected. And the estimation amount was about $200,000. And we'll talk more about what the next steps here are. I don't want to linger here too much. There is a slide that talks more about what our next steps here are. With parks, we did get our request for the Westwood Park bike racks approved. So really we're asking for concrete pad sites for bicycle infrastructure. And then we are going to put up some of the funds ourselves as a neighborhood association to help kind of do more of a custom design approach with these bike racks to give it a little bit more of a West Plaza, a Westwood Park flavor. And then there's also a request that was made to update and complete the study and planning for flood control and parkland redevelopment of the Brush Creek area along Board Parkway and Roanoke Road to State Line Road. But this isn't so much of a PIAC thing. So this actually went to the water department, but I think it's more of like a 5-year budget plan sort of thing. So it wasn't approved through PIAC. It's actually in a pending status. And I have, followed up with Public Works, and we're kind of talking through what our next steps could be, but we'll outline some more of those in a future slide. So now the big thing is the curbs and sidewalks. So about a year ago, actually, Public Works came out, and I think it was Uday and Maggie Green actually came out and presented to us what the GO bond was, and some of the projects that they were going to look to complete in the next few years. And we noticed that there's a prioritization process. If you're in zone 1, 2, or 3, you get a lot of prioritization. But if you're in more like 4 or 5, you're kind of towards the tail end of this whole initiative. And so when we heard things like we won't even be able to come out and assess the state of some of the sidewalks for a year or two, and that's not even talking about fixing anything, that's just doing an assessment, we thought our sidewalks are in such disrepair, we have to go through a different avenue. We can't use GO bond. So we went through PIAC to get this. And so here are the areas that we were able to hit. Again, this was done because we had the manpower to do it. We weren't able to hit every street we wanted to, but we didn't have the manpower. So anyone that wants to, fill this out and canvas some of the other streets that we have in our neighborhood that are in dire need of repair, I am more than willing to help you and guide you with that process. But what we did is we walked each street, we took pictures, we counted every paver that was cracked or that was raised and elevated and crooked or missing in some cases. We totaled them all together, we had pictures, everything, and we put them together in multiple requests and submitted them through PIAC. And so the total estimated amount of what we asked for is somewhere around $1.3 million. So here's a couple of our challenges. As we mentioned before, the updated crosswalk in front of Emmanuel Lutheran was rejected, but I'm currently working with Christina Hoxie, who works on behalf of Councilman Eric Bunch. And we're gonna talk through maybe a different route to get this problem addressed, where really Westport Road, 43rd Street isn't very pedestrian friendly. I see a lot of jaywalking there. There's a lot of fast moving traffic. When I went to use that crosswalk a few times, I just didn't feel safe using it. Cars were not slowing down. I couldn't tell if it was working or not. And so maybe the approach isn't necessarily to try and fix the crosswalk, but maybe it's to fix the whole, pedestrian friendly problem. So let's see. Guess I can admit everyone. So still waiting to hear back from Councilman Bunch with details on what that looks like, but we want to engage, business owners across 43rd Street, anyone who's interested in being a part of the conversation, obviously reach out to me, and, I can put us all in touch and get us together to figure out what this might look like. We'll also work with Emmanuel Lutheran, and we'll work with Volker Neighborhood Association. Brush Creek project, again, has been in that pending status, but there's been no updates. So Maggie Green has actually agreed to reach out to Public Works and try to sort out what's going on here. And then the Westwood Park project from 2018 PIAC has stalled. I think we have now a ADA accessible sidewalk there, but there was supposed to be a covered structure out there. So I have on my to-do list to reach out to Aaron Roth or to contact Parks Department to kind of figure out what's going on there. But the big thing is that curbs, driveways, sidewalks have a total funded amount. This is how much we were awarded of $750,000, and we requested about 1.3 million. So only about half of what we requested got funded. So I have a few recommendations. So I think the strategy that would work best is to fund projects along really one corridor. So like overall, like instead of trying to patch different streets, different areas where the sidewalks are most egregious, instead make sure that there is one street or two streets at least where the sidewalks are consistently good to make sure that there are, you know, safe paths for all kinds of pedestrians. And I'll talk more about what some of our options are that go along those lines. And also not to pursue any projects that are already covered under GO bond. So 4,500 to 4,700 Mercier, that was submitted through 311 years and years ago, which got it onto the GO bond list. But we didn't know that at the time. And so I did some canvassing of Mercier and made that request. But because it's going to be covered under GO bond, I'm not recommending that we pursue that because it's kind of a wasted opportunity since it will be done in the future anyways. Also, you know, into 2020 for sidewalks that we weren't able to canvass, you know, again, want to ask for help for anyone who is frustrated with the state of their sidewalks out in, you know, on their street or in other streets that they like to use. Would love help, you know, canvassing these streets and, you know, doing the documentation needed to submit really solid requests. And so I'll be looking to organize a 2020 PIAC committee to continue analysis of more sidewalks and curbs in the neighborhood. And also any other sorts of projects out there that we can think of, anyone can think of really, that we would want to pursue. So when it comes to sidewalks, I think we have two options that would make the most sense regarding what we've gotten funded versus how much it would cost. We can tackle all of Holly from Westport Road to 47th Street, and we can tackle all of Wyoming from Westport Road to 46th Street. This is under budget, and there's a potential opportunity to also address the east side of 4700 to 4800 Wyoming. The second option is rather than tackle Holly, we can tackle Liberty. So we can take 45th to 48th Street and also tackle Wyoming. And the reason that I have Wyoming on both options is I feel that making sure there's good access to the park, you know, where there's stable sidewalks that are not dangerous is, you know, definitely a value add. And Wyoming was one of the streets that we canvassed that touches the park. So for those reasons, that's in both options. So, you know, the reasoning for option one is it's under budget. So that means that there's a potential opportunity to also address 47 to 4800 East Wyoming. Whereas option two is slightly over budget and it does not cover as much area. But at this point in time, I'll just take a pause and see if anyone has any questions, comments, or, you know, ideas about, you know, which one of these options you want to take, or if you have any other questions about anything else that we've talked about so far.
Well, Josh, if option two is over budget, what's the likelihood of it getting funded if it's over budget? Do you run the risk of it just saying, well, it's over budget, we can't do it?
It's not. Sorry, and Uday, if you're on the call, or Christina, feel free to take this one. But from my understanding from our conversations, it wasn't so much that, you know, we wouldn't be able to do the project period. It to me just maybe sounded like there might be some areas that we weren't able to address, even though we'd maybe do 90, 95% of the project, was my understanding.
Yes, Josh. And typically we put out projects only with the amount which is funded. So we cannot put anything above $750,000 for project bids because technically they're not funded. But we may get better bids, and that's the reason why, if you look at Josh's notes, there's a potential opportunity if you go with option one, 4700 to 4800 East Wyoming. But either ways, once we have the list, we can start working. And if we get better bids, we will keep Josh posted and we can take it from there.
And I'll just make a note here. Thank you, Day. Another lever that we can pull, if this is important enough to folks, is that the West Plaza Neighborhood Association does have some funds in our kitty. So if there were, and I don't know, Day, if this is, you know, I don't think that I specifically spoke with you guys about this, but say if we were under budget or like over budget $2,000 or $3,000, like if the West Plaza Neighborhood Association put up that $2,000 or $3,000, for example, then that means that the project could be funded.
Process-wise, yes, but that needs to be added to the project initially because, as I said, legally we cannot bid, put anything for bid beyond our funded amount. So there is another process which I can talk with you later, where you can say, hey, we are gonna pledge $10,000 and you can do up to $760,000 project.
All right, thank you.
This is Christina. Hi, I'm a 4th District PIAC rep for Councilman Bunch. And there's also a potential for, you know, just making sure that we're really meeting the neighborhood's priorities. If the representatives can stay in touch with the Public Works Department and Uday and Maggie, which we've had such a wonderful working relationship with them so far, it's possible that we can talk with the council members about using a little bit of the contingency fund to cover any gaps as well. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Jim Wanzer. He's the other 4th District representative for Catherine Shields. He's on the call tonight as well.
This is Jim Wanzer, and I would just like to add a few words. You know, we want this project to be successful. I've been 9 years as a PIAC representative for Catherine Shields, and while we originally did not focus on large-scale sidewalk projects, so many of the applications that we receive in the 4th District are about sidewalks. So that's why we came up with the idea of trying to have a greater impact and targeting a specific neighborhood. And so this year, West Plaza, because of your diligence in submitting such quality applications, we decided to focus a substantial part of our in-district PIAC money on sidewalks for West Plaza. So we're excited about seeing substantial improvement in a neighborhood instead of just sort of patchwork fixed jobs. And so we really want this to be a success, and we would advocate for a few extra dollars from our contingency fund, as Christina said, if that would make the project more successful. And we would solicit that support from our 4th District Council reps.
Good to know. Thank you so much, Jim, and welcome to the call.
Thank you.
All right, other questions, comments? Okay, well, I guess at this time, I'd just like to ask the folks on the call, do we feel like option 1 is the better option, or we would rather go with option 2?
I like option 1.
I prefer option 2.
Okay.
Option 2.
Option 2.
So we only got one $15,000 thing. Is that what I'm?
So
No,
we went to.
What's that, Liberty, Wyoming? 47th or 40?
Liberty 45th to 48th and Wyoming, Westport Road to 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Option 2.
Okay, so far I've got 1 vote for option 1 and 4 votes for option 2. Anyone else in favor of any of the options?
I typed it into chat, but option 2. This is Katie Killen.
So what is,
Option 2.
Option 2.
so explain to me again how being over budget, we can still, option 2 is still on the table?
So there are a couple of ways we can address this. One is the neighborhood association can pledge in the difference. And 2 is we get good bids. Like we are gonna look at the quantities, like this much amount of concrete is what we need, this much amount of curb work we need, and we put it out up to 750,000. And then we get a good bid saying, hey, we are gonna cover all these. It is not guaranteed, because sometimes the bid may be over 750,000. Then we have to reject all bids and rebid it. If we do that, the process will take another 3-4 months for construction, because we have to rebid the whole thing. So these are the 2 options we have. And Jim, if you want to add, Jim or Christina, if you want to add more, please feel free.
Sorry, struggling with my mute. The other option to address your question, Keith, is to pledge some of the contingency funds with approval from the council members to make sure that if the bids do come back higher than 750, they don't have to get thrown out.
But I would only add to, this is Jim again, that we're very committed to the success of this project and impacting the neighborhood, and will advocate for whatever the neighborhood feels works best and finds most successful.
That sounds good. I'm hearing overwhelming support for option 2. So unless there's any opposition, strong, vehement opposition here, it sounds like that's the direction that we want to pursue. And I will follow up with Christina and Jim about what our next steps are to tackle that variance that we have just today. What we should be doing throughout this process so that we can ensure it's successful. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your input. That'll do it for this presentation. So I'm going to stop my share. And we can move on to the next agenda item. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for jumping on.
If you want to make me host again, I can take that over again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Uday. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Jim. Thank you everyone so much for your help.
Thanks, everybody. And if anyone has questions, feel free to route to Josh, and he can get in touch with Uday or myself in Public Works. But great talking with you all, and excited to work with everyone on the sidewalk project.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Am I on mute? No. So next up, just events and project updates. So Julie, do you just want to talk briefly about some of the changes that have occurred with our projects and our events so far this calendar year?
Sure. Everything was canceled. We have postponed the neighborhood cleanup, which is the next thing on the agenda. The extravaganza was virtual. Hope everybody put their eggs in the window. We were on TV with that. And the spring cleanup is now a summer cleanup. It's tentatively July 25th, unless we get word that we can't have it then either from the city dumpster people. Music in the park has been postponed, hopefully till September. We will do a joint Art in the Park, Music in the Park event, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Then the yard sales, I think, can still happen. We just, I mean, we'd be socially distanced anyway, but if people are wanting to invite people into their yard and or garage, Renee's in charge of that. So we'll probably be making a call pretty soon. because it's scheduled for June 6th. We haven't moved it or postponed it or anything. And the trunk or treat hopefully can still happen in October. But the very exciting news is that our website has been redesigned, reconfigured, and is so wonderful. So if you're on the call and have not renewed for 2020, it should be so simple and easy to go to westplaza.org. Go to westplaza.org anyway to check out the new website and give us your feedback if you think it's easy, if you think it's hard, if you think we need to fix something, because we can do that every month. We can do something. We're going to have a featured place for our businesses since our newsletter is currently on suspend because of COVID. We are hoping that our business memberships can still advertise and help us cover the cost of the website. So check it out, westplaza.org.
Hey, Julie, are you able to share your screen since you're the presenter and just give everyone a sneak peek of what it looks like?
Sure. Okay, so how do I go to my internet? Am I sharing my screen? Share. Oh, there's a button. Okay, there we go. So yes, I can. Yes, I can. Oh. I am not even on the technology committee, but look at me go. Okay. Aha! How's that, everybody? Look, and it's an actual picture of the actual West Plaza. Look, see? There's do you see that this is Bellevue?
Where's my house?
Okay, let me find it. My arrows are covered up with everybody's faces. Right there, Yoli. Oh, can I put my cursor on it? There's your house, Yoli. One in from 45th Street on Terrace. There you go. So we have some photos to take to replace stock photos. But because of COVID, our little plans for that. But this is an actual house in the neighborhood. We have, look, our West Plaza, our floral garden sign. I gotta move this. Okay, now I can get to my arrows. We have there's a place to go to find out what things are, now I've put my, goodness. The calendar of events happens on the event page, and it's so exciting. And signing up and joining is so easy. We have all of our programs, all of our events. I have photo gallery. So if you have, oh, look, some lovely craft things from our holiday open house that was snowed. We had a photo session to have your picture taken.
It was fun.
It was very fun. So all of our newsletters are of course on the website, and hopefully we'll have newsletters again. Completely easy way to re-up. See, you can join, you can renew at every page. So check it out. There's, oh look, let me show you. Look. Oh, it went down to the bottom. Our map of our neighborhood is at the bottom of every page, in case anyone wonders where they live. And, oh, and then look at what a handsome group of leaders. Looky there, looky there. So anyway, it's great. It's been very much a labor of love to get it going and fixed, and it's live.
And Julie, I just want to say thank you so much for managing this and keeping it moving. Personally, I have been juggling a million things, so I know that this is something that you and I started, but you've kept it moving, and I appreciate all the hard work you put into it and all the cat herding that you did.
Thank you.
I second
Renee?
that, Josh. Thank you.
And
so
Renee, I know that you are not a man in a blue moon. So Renee, send me your picture. And all of your kids are home. So say you have to get together and take a picture and then make them clean their bathroom. Okay, so how do I unshare my screen?
Go back to where you shared it the
share.
first time, and yeah.
Okay. Okay. So again, we don't know if our next meeting will be virtual or not. I hopefully will participate in the front yard cookout. Oscar Mayer is going to give money to charity. So we did it on May. Anyway, if you go to Oscar Mayer and you use the hashtag front yard cookout, Oscar Mayer will donate money to feed people. So as a neighborhood, I did it. I don't know how many other people did it, but I did it. So three sets of meals got donated because I hashtagged everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And we had a barbecue out in my front yard and had s'mores and hamburgers. So we'll do that again as a group. And people can go live on the group and share their front yard barbecue.
On the Facebook group, you mean?
Yeah, on the Facebook group.
Okay.
I'll just pick a Wednesday evening or a Saturday afternoon or something and do it again.
All right.
You can't have any happy hours or anything.
We can have virtual happy hours now.
I know. That's what I mean. Okay.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. Moving on, we're going to talk through our crime and safety updates with Julia Thompson.
Hi guys. Unfortunately, Holly could not make it here, our community interaction officer, to give updates, but I did email her because I track the crime reports on about a monthly basis. I track it for our board meetings, and then I get updates for this meeting as well. Couple things to note. One, about mid-April, there was a big uptick of theft from vehicles, so people's cars getting broken into. A lot of it was happening over like 43rd, 44th, Jarboe, that area. And I asked Holly about that. She didn't give us a ton of details. It sounds like those investigations are related and are still ongoing, but they are aware of those and are continuing to investigate them. She did also say to keep a heads up, something they're seeing around town, she didn't say it was specific to us, is that there's been theft of catalytic converters from people's cars. So just keep a heads up on that one. The theft from vehicles that we did see, she said about half of those were from cars that were unlocked. So again, always make sure, don't leave anything valuable in your car. Make sure and lock your car. And also be on the lookout if your car suddenly doesn't work for no known reason. So that was mid-April that those were occurring. When I looked up, got updates like today from about beginning of May until now, that seems to have decreased a lot, which is good. Otherwise, there's been some concern about like that 45th and Terrace area. Not a lot of recent updates on that. Julie, I don't know if you have any other major updates on that.
Other than the property owners, I'm still trying to reach somebody at Infinity, but the property owners at Melrose Place are now in our discussion group and they have joined the neighborhood association. The owner of the unit that had the shooting has not yet joined the neighborhood association, but I have his name and number and address. And the manager of his Airbnb is on our Facebook group, and I have her name and number. So I'll follow up with them to see if the police have gotten back with them on the offenders. The offender has been arrested. They found him and know who he is, but I don't know if anyone's pursuing prosecution.
Do we know if the listing for that Airbnb on 40 like on Mercier got changed? Because I think part of the problem was that it was listing that it had like 10 beds available in it, so people were just having parties there all the time.
Yeah, she changed it, and I gave her hints on making it multiple nights as a minimum, and that, you know, when people say they're wanting it to have a party and they're here local, you don't rent to people here local unless they're renting it for their family and friends coming in from out of town. There are just safe practices on Airbnb that need to be followed. And if they don't, they're going to get a nice note from a superhost to Airbnb, and they will no longer be able to be on the website.
Thank you.
And our guest has arrived, Josh, just to remind you.
Yeah.
Our guest speaker. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll keep it super short, unless there's other questions about recent crime concerns. That was Julie's main update. The other thing is I am going to talk with Julie, hopefully tomorrow. We're going to try and get a phone call or a virtual call set up about possibly hosting a virtual neighborhood watch training. So keep your eyes out for more details on that. I have to go make some details, and then I will share them with you.
Yay.
And do we want to do a quick update on the efforts that we have been putting together regarding the people that are homeless around Roanoke and 43rd?
Thanks for the reminder there. Julie, you can, I think you were.
Okay. I have formed a committee, and the people on the committee are business owners along that corridor, those two corridors, Roanoke to Bellevue, Roanoke to 45th, Print Tech, and Mark Abbott, the owner of the vacant filling station and the Jimmy John's, Cooper Weeks that owns Westport Shopping Center, and some people from a recent post on the discussion group have signed up to be member, West Plaza member, household members on the committee. So I am going to formulate a Zoom meeting with all of those that show interest in being involved in that, getting together with Andy Hamill, our CIO, who is in charge of that part of our thing, and any of the area missions and that sort of thing, to see what steps we can do moving forward that are legal and humane and actually helpful, instead of just calling them names and ignoring them. So hopefully we'll come up with a very good plan for their safety and the safety of the neighborhood, and the treatment of our neighborhood streets.
All right, thank you so much, Julie and Julia. If there's anything else, if not, we will move on to our next topic. And it's actually quite fitting that we actually have a candidate for the Jackson County Prosecutor's race here on the Zoom meeting with us. Everybody welcome Tracey Chappell. Tracey, would you mind introducing yourself?
Oh, you need to unmute yourself, Tracey. There you go.
There we go. Thank you so much. First, I would like to say you guys are a great group of people. I mean, you seem really fun. And I'm like, you're going to make me move out of my house. But my name is Tracey Chappell. I am the candidate for the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. I currently prosecute in the city of Blue Springs, where I was appointed by Mayor Carson Ross in 2018. I also have my own law firm where I practice in the area of civil litigation and criminal defense. Now, I'm running because it's during that time that I practiced in the area of criminal defense, that's how I saw a lot of holes in our criminal justice system. And our criminal justice system has to be reformed. And so I intend to do so by, implementing different procedures, such as number one, I want to reduce mass incarceration on both a local and a state level by implementing the following programs. Number one, eliminating the cash bail system for poor people. We don't want them sitting in jail simply because they cannot afford to get out. And the taxpayers are paying for that, up to $100 a day that we're paying for individuals to sit in the Jackson County jail. Number two, I want to create more diversion programs for those non-violent offenders. Number three, I will not prosecute cases involving possession of less than 100 grams of marijuana. And number four, I will bring back the preliminary hearings as opposed to sending everything to the grand jury. Now, these items taken together, they will reduce mass incarceration on both the state and local level, thus relieving the overcrowding in the Jackson County Jail and the added benefit of helping relieve the tax burden on us as taxpayers for paying for those individuals who are sitting in the jail. In addition to that, it is my desire to help reduce this violent crime that is happening in Kansas City. I looked at the statistics, and when we are 5th in the nation for gun violence and firearm fatality rates, I don't want Kansas City to be known for that. I like to stick with the barbecue and the jazz. That's what we should be known for, and not violent crime. And so we have to work with and maintain the trust between the prosecutor's office and the communities, the entire community in Jackson County, and the police departments and the community, so that we can help trust each other, build relationship, and reduce violent crime. In addition to that, I'd like to extend our mental health programs and courts for those who have mental illnesses. We don't want those individuals just sitting in jail. We need these individuals to get treatment for their mental illnesses. They need an alternative to jail. So I'm going to work with policymakers to get them early screening and early treatment so that we can deal with the issue and not look at it as just, we're going to incarcerate our way out of mental health. In addition to that, I'm going to work with policymakers to ensure that we have more treatment facilities for these individuals with mental health disease or illnesses. So it gives also the police an alternative. Instead of sending them to jail, we're going to start sending them to additional treatment centers. So I really want to work with the mental health when it comes to them and as it relates to crime. So that is my platform on overhauling or reforming our criminal justice system. And if it's something that interests you, I ask that you partner with me, team up with me, go to my website. It's traceychappell.com for more information. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call.
And what is the date of the election, Tracey?
The actual election is going to be November 3rd. We do not have a primary. My opponent is Jean Peters Baker.
Is that person an incumbent or a new person as well?
No, yes,
You're the
she's
incumbent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she's incumbent. I forgot. I got so excited there. I'm like, it's me, but not yet.
Tracey, I have a question about your thoughts on civil asset forfeiture, if that's something that you're involved in or if you have an opinion on that.
Yes, at this time, my opinion is, and I'm sorry, there we go. If assets are forfeited obviously before that case is adjudicated, once that case is adjudicated and that individual is found to be, if they're not guilty, then it is my opinion that those assets need to be returned back to that individual. However, if those assets were obtained using illegal measures, then that's something that's going to have to be dealt with differently.
Does anyone else have any questions? There's a little raise your hand button or unmute yourself first. Or you can actually raise your hand.
If no one else goes, I have more questions.
Okay.
You mentioned
for it,
extending our
Josh.
mental health programs, Tracy. Where would that funding come from? Is that through Medicaid dollars or is that through some other funding source?
There's a mental health levy that is in Jackson County. And so we can go there, because it's more or less, obviously it's a levy, to get assistance for those mental health programs, because they are desperately needed, Josh. There are approximately about 2/3 of individuals that are currently sitting in the Jackson County Detention Center that have mental health problems. Usually, when a person comes into the Jackson County Detention Center, they do an early screening. And then per that early screening, they ask individuals, have you ever had or been diagnosed with mental health problems? Or do you currently have those? Are you taking medication for those? When that individual says yes, those are red flags that, wait a minute, maybe this person committed this crime. Maybe this crime had, or the mental illness had an effect or a bearing on the crime. So let's start looking at this a little bit differently. And maybe this person needs treatment as opposed to just sitting in jail, incarcerated, and not getting the treatment. Because at the end of the day, you're going to just find yourself going round and round in circles. If that person does not get treatment, they're going to find themselves back incarcerated again and doing the same thing. So you want to do that. But to answer your question, there is a mental health levy in Jackson County. I know that's a long answer, but yeah.
No, that's a perfect answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And if I could, I apologize. I did want to say, when I gave you my website, let me spell my first and last name, because it's kind of jarred a little bit. Tracey is Tracey. Chappell is Chappell.
And it's on the screen. You did a very good job.
Thank you very much.
You have your team.
I know he
Chappell
called me
sign on
Chappell,
the
and I said, I don't have Dave Chappell's money. So I know. So I'm stuck with Chappell.
Awesome. Does anyone have a question for Tracey? Oh, look, and Josh put it on the chat, so he's good.
Thank you.
And Tracey, do you know about our Facebook group? Because if you wanted to share any more information like that PDF that you shared with me earlier, that might be a good place to leave it ahead of the race.
Can you also put your,
It's our Facebook group.
Is that okay?
And I can link the page.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming by. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. So that does it for our main topics. And so now it's just about membership renewals and the drawing. So I'm going to hand this over to you, Julie.
Hi. The people that are current 2020 members that joined the meeting after we started, I'll make my plea again. If you're not renewed for 2020, please go to the brand new website. It should be very easy. And update your information. There's choices to add donation to your membership dues if you wish, and what you want the donation to go to. It's so cool. I have put everybody that is current in the drawing for the prize. So I'm going to throw them in the air. And whatever lands on me, I guess. One lands on me. Howard Fox! Oh, where is it? Howard Fox. You won an Android phone.
All right. Wait, where's my video?
There you go. I don't know, but you could do it on your new Wi-Fi device. You can.
Perfect.
You
That's
can
great.
give it to someone, have an extra Wi-Fi device. You can hook it up to your cell service.
Perfect.
It was formerly Sprint, but it's all ours. So now it's yours.
Thank you.
So I will get it to you somehow.
I jump up and down, but we just rode bikes to Mission Hills and back.
All righty. So again, check out the new website. Give us your feedback. That's very helpful. We will have information on, of course, the discussion page for a backyard barbecue event. Share some good news on the Facebook page, always a good thing. And tell your neighbors that WPNA is where it is at to be. So sign them up. Our senior outreach program has been, Francine has been very diligent in the quarantine time to put herself out there and reach out to the folks that we know, our seniors in our membership. But there are probably some seniors that, because we have missed some newsletters and that sort of thing, are probably feeling disconnected. Victor, I think your dad is feeling disconnected. So unless he gets online somehow, or put your phone in front of him for the next meeting so that he feels included, you know, be out there and reach out.
And Julie, I did want to follow up because I see a couple comments regarding the West Plaza Watch. And I did want to say, you guys do an amazing job of keeping people up to date on Facebook about suspicious activity. I know there's been a couple events, including the gentleman that was taking photos in the neighborhood and then was very threatening. I didn't see that on KC, like on the website, like if there was any charge, because obviously it sounds like the police didn't come out. I know it was posted on Nextdoor that man was seen in Volker as well. So keep your eyes out. Keep us posted so that if he does come back around, you know, we can continue to advocate that the police come out and respond, or we get him help or something like that. So I appreciate people's vigilance on the West Plaza Watch page.
Julia, that happened next door to us here on 47th and Liberty.
Yeah.
When my neighbor was she wasn't kind of verbally accosted.
Yeah.
And we called the police and nobody ever showed up. So
yeah,
we can talk about it some other time, and happy to help you with any of that crime stuff because I keep up on it pretty close.
And Howard, the other thing is we are in touch with Holly Sticken, Andy Hamill, and I can't remember the boss's name. I think he's the captain. And anytime
Well, there's a new major we haven't met yet, but
a new major,
the sergeant and the major also.
Because
so, like I said, we're going to get them involved in the conversation, and it will be a Zoom meeting. So just direct message me if you want to be sent an invitation to the Zoom meeting with regard to that. Michelle, I see you made a comment about it. We have a committee forming. You're welcome to join it if you want to keep up to date on it and help us solve the issues that we're having about the neighborhood.
And I guess the point I was trying to make, Julia, is like we don't want to just like let that hang. Like we want to make sure that a police leadership understand that there was an incident that occurred like that was potentially dangerous, and there was no follow-up, and that's not acceptable.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely.
And Josh, I have no idea how to keep a catalytic converter from being stolen. I'm sorry.
I figured I'd ask before I try out Google.
Get a garage.
In this neighborhood, are you serious? My garage is my basement.
I'm out of having a driveway.
I have them $75 a garage.
All right, guys.
My dad built a lot of garages.
Well, guys, we're going to adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you guys all so much for coming out. If there's anything that we can do to help, again, we're on Facebook. And you also can check us out on the new website and contact us via email there. Thank you again for coming out. Stay safe, stay healthy. Take care of each other. Take care.
Thank you.
Josh.
Thanks,
Nice
Josh.
job. Thank
Good
you.
job.
All right,
Michelle,
bye.
yes, the police will be on the task force.
Cheers.